Good evening. My name is Don Trust Chan, member of ManCave Missionary Baptist Church. Tonight on the ManCave Podcast, we're going to have a discussion talking about good boys versus good men. And with me, I'm going to have my panel. Gentlemen, introduce yourselves.
Hey, my name's Chuck Baker. I've been at Mount Calvary for quite a while now. Nice to be here. Thanks, everybody.
My name is Greg McNair. Been here 8 months. I'm glad to be here.
My name is Davon Coble, and I've been at Mount Calvary for quite a while, too. Yeah, it's been some time.
All right. So today, like I said, we're going to talk about bad boys, bad men versus good men. All right. So when we talk about bad boys or bad men, what does that mean to each of you?
To me, it means that they have not decided really how their intentions are to the next person, because we're all going to be both. In reality, we've been both, but the goodness is what we should seek. So if you look at that, there shouldn't be many bad boys, but unfortunately, it is.
I guess the way that I would define bad, just person in general, is just having a poor sense of judgment. I think that's probably the best, easiest way to put that.
Yeah, I kind of like that poor sense of judgment, but I'll take a step further. That your intention is to is to do something it's wayward towards somebody else. So sometimes you can have a poor sense of judgment by accident.
Sure.
Don't know that it qualifies you to be bad.
Okay.
But if your intention is to be hurtful, that's a little bit different.
All right, so when you talk about intentions, so what you were saying was that basically some people are just outright seeking to do harm or cause problems for others.
Yeah, I mean that would be, at least for me, that would be the definition of bad. Right? You're doing something with the sole purpose, or with a purpose, of hurting or harming somebody else, or causing harm to something else, whether it be a person or a business or whatever it is. You're I think people say bad actor. They kind of use that terminology. I think this person has the intention to be disruptive in a way that's not good. So I guess that makes them bad.
Yeah. Not saying anything positive, always looking to be negative. That would be a good thing of being a bad boy. Be complimentary, be kind to one another. Don't let your intentions be negative all the time. People like to hear positive things and truthful positive things, but like my brother said, a lot of the time a bad boy or a bad man comes in looking to be negative instead of trying to inspire someone and be positive.
All right, and would y'all say that when it comes to a bad boy or bad man, that's something that's natural, or is it something that is based off of upbringing? So like nature versus nurture, would you think that it's something that's just naturally in somebody, or is it just something that they've learned?
Honestly, I think it depends. What I will say is the way that somebody's brought up can determine what kind of judgment you have. So if if you're raised in a bad environment, your like a judgment when you get older might be a little off, right? But even still, somebody who was raised in a good environment, I could see a situation to determine whether or not it's a good call for me to make or a bad one. So I think it really just depends on how, just the situation up hand. So, you know what I'm saying? Just the way that you were born, the way you were brought into this world, the environment that you're around. I think that plays a really big factor in the person you become.
As you were talking and you were thinking, you were saying about, the person you become and this sort of stuff. What actually was going through my mind was the Detroit Pistons. I don't know if you guys remember that. They used to call them the bad boys in the NBA,
yeah.
right?
Right.
These the bad boys, right? And it's like, why were they called the bad boys? They fouled, right?
Yeah.
And so the intention was to hurt you, right? And to not get caught. But I think it had to do more with taking advantage of an opportunity, as opposed to just coming out to crack you in the jaw. They didn't really do it like that. It's always sly, right? I'm gonna hold your shirt a little bit longer, right? I'm gonna push you, foul you a little bit. Hopefully the ref doesn't see it, right? I'm looking to get one up based on how I'm treating you, right? So again, it's that intention piece, and I think that however this person was brought up, right, might play into that, but I think it's more of an opportunity to get a one up on somebody else.
Right. Yeah, you can see that a lot. Definitely when it came to Detroit, it was the opportunity. You know, how far, what can I get away with, and for how long? And some people say that bad behavior is what propelled Jordan to the next level. So some people say that bad could have actually been meant for good. Same, story similar to with Joseph. His brother sold him out, but ultimately he ended up being, I'm gonna say vice president of Egypt, and ultimately helped bless not just himself and his family, but an entire nation. So, sometimes they say that bad could be meant for good.
Sure.
In that sense, but I could also look at that and say, that oftentimes is like divine. God puts you through, bad things to turn out to be an ultimate good, to develop you toward a better version of yourself.
With it, I get really antsy when I consider like life experience, and I get a little antsy when I want to label it as bad or good. Actually, I get a little antsy. For me, it's based out of my perspective,
Right.
and I've definitely been in situations that I called bad, maybe because it did not feel good or I didn't like it. But in retrospect, looking back from a different perspective, like actually, it wasn't bad. I just didn't like it. It turned out to be really good, and so I'm really careful to label something bad or good as far as an experience. But when it comes to bad boys, again, that has to do with what is your intention? What are you hoping to accomplish here? It doesn't seem to be anything good or helpful to anyone, maybe except for yourself.
Mm-hmm. And I like what Brother Chucky said, just talking about how you got to look at things from a different perspective, basically. And that's a mindset that I've had to incorporate into my life, just because I always used to think, just people always had bad intentions when it came to me. But stepping back and realizing why this person did what they did, it'll help you just understand the full situation, and it'll just rationalize everything out. So I don't know, just random example. Let's say you got into a fight, you know what I'm saying? They hit you, whatever. You don't understand what that person might be going through. The person, they could have a horrible home life. You never understand what somebody could be going through. So you might be angry like y'all got into a fight, but there are reasons people act on some things like that, and just taking a step back and having you just realize that, I think it'll just help out a situation, and it'll just help you in life too. I think that in every bad thing, there's a lesson to be learned, and just taking a step back and realizing, just how you look at things from a different perspective, it'll just help you realize that as well. There's lessons to be learned. So I like what you said.
That's why you gotta come teach in children's church.
Okay.
That's it right there. That right there. That was it, bro. That was it. Bring that
Okay.
on back to children's church.
One thing I'm gonna say on what they said, which I agree, influences a lot of them. What we see as boys, men, or anybody that initiate being bad. So it is taught or seen. But some bad is good, as they both said. That's a bad car. He was the baddest runner. So all bad is not bad. There is good in it, like you said. So influence though to be physically bad or verbally bad is taught or heard. And that's what we're not supposed to do. Again, to be kind is the easiest thing to do. And influence from, like you said, nobody knows what the other person is going through. But in the end, bad is not bad all the time.
Right. So when we said influences, and if you could think about as you were growing up and you look back now, or, in your case, you being a young guy of the group, bad influences. If you could think of just one person, a bad influence that you knew growing up or that you saw, well, what made them bad? And how do you think that person influenced other people in your generations?
It's a good question. I'll think about that one. I guess growing up, especially in this day and age, right now, you see more and more people smoking. You see more and more people drinking, especially at a young age. And the way that I came up, we never did that in my household. But if I was outside of that household, I'd see it at school. I'd see it if I decided to go, hoop with my friends, I'd see it. And it almost became a mindset that these things were okay, right? Until the facts came out that these things are killing you. And even still, you have people who know these facts, but put themselves in a mindset that these things are okay. We're all going to die one day. That's what people always say. So I think that, that's just not the right mindset to have. I don't know if that answered the question, but, just seeing people smoke and drink young age, realizing it's harming themselves, just okay with it. I think that's something that I would like to say.
So in that, those behaviors, could you pinpoint a particular person? Was it, TV, an actor, an artist, a movie, something that was, of this time that generated that train of thought that, we're all gonna, we're gonna die one day, so we might as well just, live like there is no tomorrow.
I mean, I guess you hear all the time in movies without actually realizing it, but I mean, the phrase YOLO, like people say that all the time, and you're like, okay. But YOLO became, you only live this one life, so you might as well take full advantage of it. So, you got people going to parties, being excessive at these parties. You got excessive smokers, excessive drinkers. So, it's the things like those, and I'm not going to, throw out any names, but, you just see that kind of thing, especially in high school. So, yeah.
I think a lot of I think you have some good points. I think a lot of it, though, coming from a younger perspective to an older perspective, I think it's pretty rampant, the number of bad actors or influencers who maybe portray or convey bad messaging, right? I think it's very prevalent in politics. I think it's hugely prevalent in politics. And it doesn't really matter if you're a Democrat or Republican, they all do it. And so a lot of the verbiage that they use, a lot of the language, a lot of the wording, word choice, brings up different feelings inside of people, and kind of stirs and plays with people's beliefs. Your behaviors are based out of your beliefs, right? And so if I can get you to think a certain way or feel a certain way based on my wording, to stir up your, in the scripture it says stir up the gift, right? It's to stir up something that's inside of you to get you to act a certain way, then that's a bad influence. That's a bad influencer, right? We have people online who have the title of influencer. That's their job, is to influence you to do something, right? And how do they do that? With their word choice, right? With their rationalization, of whatever it is message they're trying to convey. So I think it's obviously we have this in high school and we have it through adolescence, but I think it's even more rampant as we become adults. And I think it becomes almost just, that's just kind of the way it is. And that's unfortunate.
Yeah, you see that a lot, with a lot of parents that because I work downtown Montgomery County Juvenile Court, and you hear a lot of parents say that, well, I can't make him, or I don't know how to, make him act right or behave, and it's part of you just like, but you're the parent. You're the guide for the direction, or at least set them up in the direction that they should go. And then, once they get old, they have that choice. But you teaching them right from wrong, good for bad, will actually help versus you just sitting idly by and letting them figure it out on their own at 9, 10, 11 years old. Like, no, imparting them what it is that you want them to know or what you experienced, so that they don't become, the label the bad, the bad boy or the bad kid. So when we think about the bad boy, the image, the lifestyle, what do you think attracts people to that?
Attracts them to them in what kind of way?
Like wanting to be the bad boy.
A lot of people consider doing bad with fun. And I think just being able to, go through high school, you see that a lot. Just because you smoke, you get that outer body experience. It's fun. It's considered addicting. So, people want to chase that feeling, and people like to be around people who are out of their bodies in that sense. So you see that all the time. I've had friends who, we've had pacts said that we never smoke. And then you get to high school, you got a couple people who smoke, a couple people become a couple more. And then that one friend decided to smoke. So, I think it's the fact that people get out their bodies. It's something different. It's something new. And people love to explore those things. So I think that is why people are so attracted to bad. It's something different. It's fun. In other people's words, it's fun. So
I agree with you. I think it's fun. I think part of it is the payoff. So there's really, obviously I'm in insurance, so part of it is risk. And even if in the stock market, you can't have a reward without risk, right? So you want to take calculated risk and educated risk, but it is risk nonetheless. And so I think it's easier to see when we're younger, right? It's fun to drive 120 miles per hour, right? The rush that you get, it's like, yo, you don't realize the risk that's associated with that. So you hit pretty much anything at 120 miles an hour, that could end very badly for you, right? But you're not thinking about the bad behavior from that perspective. I think you're looking at. I think most people engage or are attracted to that bad, behavior because of the reward risk game that they play in their minds, right? Yeah. It's okay to. Well, I'm about to get turned down for what? It's the weekend. I'm gonna drink myself into this old people language, into a stupor, right? But you don't realize that you can actually get alcohol poisoning and die from doing that, but you don't know that. So it's that reward from the risk, that risky behavior. I think this is also, at least in my experience, this is why when I was in high school, all the girls I liked didn't like me. I wasn't bad enough, right? There's no risk there, right? But you like this guy over here that has, 10, 12 girlfriends and drives 120 miles an hour down there. Whatever. So, yeah.
I think we've all experienced that. That one girl that you always wanted. She wasn't interested in you because you was the straight, narrow kid.
So they call it squares.
Right, square.
But
Right.
listen, we grow up. So.
That's right. We grow up. Yeah.
They go, oh,
And like my brother,
yeah. It's like, yeah.
Now you really see me. You're right.
But like
Back
with Bismarck,
then,
we call it the vapors.
Yeah. How you doing? It's my wife.
But it's like he said earlier, you got to decide, do you want to hang with the bad boys or you want to be an individual that says, now they're getting ready to start doing something that I was taught should be in my circle. And you go that way, all I'm saying was they turn left and you turn right. And that's what I got of what he said, because you can be easily influenced to want to smoke cigarettes, smoke the pot, hang out with the guys to be the jock, which like we weren't.
Yeah.
But we were book smart. We listened and watched, But to turn the corner and make the right choice, like you said, and decide not to be that one that wants to be what they call the jock or the famous, not famous, but all the attention. It's not necessary. And bad boys and good men do both. But it's our choice again. We have the free will to make our own decisions. That's what we are. We have in our spirit. We have a free will.
It's interesting you said choice, and that they're both present. Paul speaks to that when he says, even when I want to do good, evil is always present. We always have that the yin and yang. On Tom and Jerry, they used to have the red and the white. And do this, no, don't do that. And we find it hilarious, but in real life, we actually have those battles. We wake up with the choice. What do we choose to do today? And it's also a matter of what we put in our heart, what we fill ourselves up with. It's just like like food. If I keep eating junk food, eventually I'm gonna have diabetes and no teeth. And that's the same thing that goes, with our spirits. If I'm filling my spirit up with nothing but the bad that's in the world, even though it may, from a sense, feel good or look good, in the end, it's all, it becomes destruction to our body.
Yeah.
And
I love chicken wings.
I love chicken too.
Yeah, it's not, you can't do that every day.
Not every day.
No, not at all.
But
And
it
that, you
does
know,
taste, it tastes good.
like, Lord, yeah, Lord tastes good.
No, it do.
It can
The way
have
they're
its.
raising the chickens now is unfortunate.
Yeah, I know.
They're not as good as we think.
Right.
Right. And, you know, and that's the same with, you know, the things that we choose.
Yes.
You know, it looks good, it smells good, tastes good, feels good, but at the end of the day, you know, it's bad business.
Gotta listen to your spirit.
Yes,
Like I said,
indeed.
you gonna be good or you gonna be bad. How bad you gonna be, or how good do you wanna be? And like you just said, brother, you wake up wanting to be good, wanting to do good. You know, I was in a business where I had to deal with people every day, 300 to 400 people a day. And the first thing I said was, go out and treat these people the way Jesus would treat them. And everybody thought that I was on something, but I just had fun. So influence, again, is what people will see, be it good or bad. But the good is what makes people remember you and see you. And that's what you want to strive to do, what is good. And we've all been bad. We all going to sin. We're going to do things that we shouldn't do or have done. But the end result is, like he said, sometimes you don't want to turn left. You want to turn right. And right is good.
All right, so we're gonna turn it a little bit. We talked about the qualities of a bad boy. When you think about a good man, what qualities come to mind when you think about good men?
Going to be truthful. Going to be direct. Going to do as they say in most cases because they're trying to set the correct example, not only for someone else, but for themselves as well. So, and like I said, being a good man ain't easy either because, like you said, the chicken wings, this smells good, that looks good, but you gotta be strong. Again, it's our will that we have to listen to. And sometimes, like you said earlier, the question, are you going to decide to do that or do this? So, good men are happy. They're looking for joy. They want the peace and the friendship, the camaraderie. They want to be engaged and empower people and be empowered, able to listen. Listening is a big part of being good for anyone. Because if you're the one always talking, you can't be being a good person because you don't have no clue what the other person is feeling or about to say. So, good is being patient. Good men be patient, truthful, and able to listen.
I guess the way that I would define a good man or good men is a man who learned from the decisions that bad boy once made, if that makes sense. So, you know, you take a situation, you realize that it was bad, and from that bad, you realize how to do good from it. And it's those experiences that'll, you know, add character development to you, cause you to be that good man. And not to say that, you know, good men don't make mistakes, but it's the process of learning from those mistakes and trying to do better and correct yourself that give you that title of being a good man. That's how I would define that.
I like both of y'all's answers, and man, I really like that how you put that. You said making that bad boy versus that good man. The way I heard it, that could be the same person.
Mm-hmm.
Could be the same person, right? So he learned from himself, and I think that what you started, some of the attributes of a good man, actually were right in line with some of the fruit of the Spirit. I don't know if you realize that when we talked about patience and joy and these sorts of things.
Okay.
And so I think for me, evidence that you are a good man, right, evidence that would be the fruit of the Spirit. You would have some evidence that kind of follows you. This person seems to always be full of joy. This person seems to always be able to show love, even to people who seemingly don't deserve it. Like, how is that? How is he able to do that? I think it's because he is these are results or characteristics of a good man, a person whose intention is to do good to and for other people. So, yeah, I like both of those.
And so we could use, I guess we could say, Christ is the measuring rod, and the fruits of the Spirit are those principles and values that we have to, basically look at ourselves and measure ourselves by.
Yeah. It's the fruit of the Spirit is the result, right? And you'll know what type of tree it is. How? By the fruit, by the results that it delivers, right? So it's not the fruit that makes you good. It's what you did that shows the fruit, right?
Sure.
That's it.
Sometimes you may hear
Yeah.
long after you thought it was someone that you thought was bad, and they thought you were being bad, but you were being good. And then you see them later on in life, and they come and thank you for being the person that you just said. Someone that wants to spread it, not just hold it in. Sometimes the truth is what it takes. It's, again, how you say it. It's not what you say. It's how you say it. And again, the key again is listening. Just like Jesus knows our hearts. He's always listening. He knows what we're thinking even before we say it. That's why a person that, I'm not going to go back to the bad boy again, like I said, they're over talking you like they know what you're getting ready to say. That person is being, again, he's not wanting the joy of your conversation to impede what he's already decided should be said. So listening, being a friend, that's all I can say to everyone. That's what good men do. Stay in their place.
So I'm gonna ask each y'all the same question. Who can you think of that was a good man that was in your life that you would say modeled, outside of Christ, modeled a good man behavior that you would like to live up to or exemplify in your own life?
That's ironic you asked that. I didn't mean to cut you off. But I was a exalter at my previous church, and that was the question I was going to ask the men of our church. Can you name 5 men that did what you just said? I can name 5. My great-grandfather, my grandfather, my Uncle Howard, my Uncle BB. These were, and my actual birth father. Them were men that set examples for me, set the standards. They were kind, but they were bad at the same time. When I say bad, they expected us to be good kids and to learn from what they had to teach us. So 5 men I could say that had a big influence on my life. And I live by what they did today. Kindness, be in the church every Sunday they work, and I live to be like them till today.
I mean, I guess, probably the biggest one to me is my father. Growing up, my dad has always taught me right and wrong. In his eyes, what's right and wrong. He gave me a good sense of work ethic, and these things I didn't understand at the time, but now being in the position that I'm in, I can realize, when okay, you may have did something with this one, you know what I'm saying? So, having that and having that male in my life who's gonna do something on his own without, caring what other people have to say about it. It was a good guide for me, coming up. So I definitely have to say my father, especially now, seeing him be active in the church, it just adds character development to me, and it makes me want to be more like that. So I definitely have to say my father for sure.
Yeah, when you ask the question, there's actually two people that came to my mind. The first one, and I talk about him from time to time. It was my old pastor, not to take away anything from Pastor Sam or Pastor Sam Sr. for that matter. Both very good men, so I'll start off there, right? So, but my old pastor, he passed away years ago. He was just he was very peculiar, just a peculiar person. I think I used to say weird, but I think I like the term peculiar better. Weird can come off kind of, yeah. This the type of cat that'll burst out singing in his car with no radio on, just to keep his mind busy about the things of God. Like this cat was just he was kind of about that life, as we like to say. Did he do bad things? Who knows? I don't know. But the influence that he had on me, his name was Willie Mitchell, the influence that he had on me was like, yo, if I'm going to do this, I need to do it in that way, right? Mm-hmm. And so if that is the pattern, there have been other men in my life that I see them and see how they interact with their wives, with their children, with their job, and I say, if I'm going to do that, I'd like to do it in that way. And so like one of my he was actually my best man, Dillard Hall, a little bit younger than me, right? If I'm going to have a family and I want to do it like Dillard does. He has just watching him and how he is with his children, with his wife, with his job, what he thinks about what kind of keeps him up at night. I'm like, yo, these are all things that I applaud you as being a man. Yeah. These things are on your mind and on your heart, and I can see you working through them. So, just a hugely positive influence for me.
Right. Yeah, because for myself, I know it's I took bits and pieces from different men in my life. The not so good things that I saw, the men that I was engaged in my life do, I learned by observing them. No, that's not the route. Just seeing the outcome, actually being able to see what they did and how it affects somebody else. I learned, okay, that's not the choice you want to make. And then there were the ones that I saw that did amazing things and changed lives, and actually influenced me to the point where that was the thing that I wanted to do. Go out, engage, with anybody that had an ear, and offer encouragement, offer some perspective for them to help, look at something different, especially when it comes to working with you, making sure that they see a situation different and not engage in the way that they're used to seeing other people behave. So it's, for me, it's very important that we not only just, receive information or look at people being productive and positive, but that we also conduct ourselves in good and positive manners to shape and mold, those that are watching us. And that's, regardless of age.
I agree with you wholeheartedly with that, especially with having 3-year-old. Oh, we're okay. Okay. All right. Especially with having a 3-year-old, my wife and I are, we're very focused on ensuring that he has some really positive male role models in his life. So everyone, obviously, me, right, first, right, but then he has his godfather, right, somebody who, I have a huge, tremendous amount of respect for, right. Then he has his grandfathers, right, all of his doctors, right, his doctors look like him, right, whoa, right, it's like, really, yeah, Pastor Waster, as he calls him, Pastor Waster, right, hopefully this guy will be teaching, right? So, and we want to his brother-in-law running the camera right now. We want to just kind of inundate his sites with people, to your point, that he can pull from bits and pieces. Like, oh, I like how he's very attentive, attention to detail, this sort of stuff. Someone who's very articulate, right? Maybe someone who's streetwise, but has the intention of helping people, right? It's like, we want to kind of cover all of these bases, because it's just hugely important. The end result that we're hoping for is someone who does, portray the fruit of the Spirit.
Right. So with that, when we're talking about building and making, young boys into men, it requires a multitude of people. The old saying of it takes a village to raise a child, and we can't, as fathers, men, teachers, anybody that's in the position of influence, we can't be tunnel vision and assume that we're the only end all be all of how we're going to raise or educate, young men to become positive influences or just, be successful in their life. It's a lot of people that get lost in that and not realizing or accepting, like Kanye told Sway, you don't have all the answers. You know what I'm saying? And you have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to allow other men to, speak life into your child.
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing I would like to say that the words that he used that describes the men that I talked about, character, accountability.
Okay.
That's what good men will have. Character and be accountable. That was very good.
Thank you. And I apologize. Go ahead.
Go ahead,
Oh, okay. I shouted out my dad just because, he is a very influential person in my life. But like you said, it takes other people to add influence to, right? So another big person in my life who's added so much to me and gave me a new perspective on how to do things is my girlfriend's dad. It was seeing little things that made my girlfriend happy he would do that made me want to do that exact same thing for when maybe I have kids of my own, or even just how to make my girlfriend happy. Whether it be my girlfriend has gluten issue, so he might have to go to a specific bakery just to get her something sweet that I could learn from, or always getting her flowers, even if it's random, or seeing how he treats his wife, when no one's paying attention, or when he thinks someone's paying attention. It's little things like those that, yes, I learned from my dad, but I get to really see it, how influential it is from another person's perspective, So big shout out to my girlfriend's dad, and yeah.
Tell your dad he influenced my life too.
Yeah, I for sure let him know. I'm pretty sure you know that though.
Yeah,
But.
he does.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to end it with this. It was something that I picked up, came from Vasily Grossman in his book called Life and Faith. And it says, good men and bad men alike are capable of weakness. The difference is simply that a bad man will be proud of all his life of the one good deed, while an honest man is hardly aware of his good deeds, but remembers the single sin for years to come. And with that, want to thank you all for taking the time to be here. Thank you for being on this panel, gentlemen. And have a good night,
Thanks for having us.
All right, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
and God bless.